Good afternoon and welcome everyone to Tom and Penelope Live.
This is Tom Pauly.
I'm Penelope Pauly, and this is a part of our Living Rich Now teleseminar series.
Actually, this is the last of our Living Rich Now teleseminar series.
Yes, this incarnation in any way. And we have an amazing guest today. Amazing guest. This person has changed our lives completely.
Yeah, not just ours, but hundreds of others.
She started out in Chicago, moved out to California where we met her, and has been talking and teaching and changing people ever since.
Let me tell you, I have known some incredible salesmen in my life. I have hung with con artists and people who are just super salesmen, but I have never met anyone with the charisma and talent that our guest today has. She is able to take someone who doesn't really believe a darn thing she's saying
About anything.
and put them on a track where they are living rich beyond their wildest dreams. I know because that's what she did for me. And I would like to introduce to you our dear friend, Marilyn. Marilyn.
Hi there.
Hi, darling. How are you?
I'm just fine. I'm just thrilled to be with everybody today.
She's up teaching in Chicagoland these days.
Yeah.
How's the weather up there?
Yeah, right now it's fine. And, I'm inside with air conditioning, so I'm just fine.
Yeah.
Good for you.
We are too. It got up to about 100 today, so about 90 something. I don't know. It's hot. We had lunch outside. So.
Oh, good.
So Marilyn, this is how we'd like to start it off today. These incredible calls that we've been doing have been about how other people are living rich now, and that is using this system every day of your life, using it as a part of your life, and it's not just about when you need something or when you're down in the dumps, or it's about using it every day and helping it live a rich life all the time.
It becomes your life.
Right. So many people say, we get questions from folks, and one of my members said, I don't know how to make this rich. I've been doing this all my life or for the past 6 or 7 years, and I'm still waiting. Well, we don't want anybody to wait. We want them to do it now. We want them to have
Can I answer that?
Would you, please?
Well, rich now means having each day what you want at the moment. It doesn't mean having millions. It can include that, of course. But it's like maybe you want to go to the zoo tomorrow, and then you all end up at the zoo. It's the same thing as if you want to go and have a new car. You just go and ask for a new car, write it down like I will be telling you more how to do that, and the next thing you know, you may have a new car. It's all just relevant. Whatever you want, you can have. Where you are is what you have asked for. If you are constantly in lack or unhappiness, you have asked for it, otherwise you wouldn't have it.
Right, absolutely. So yeah, that's the whole point right there. She summed it up. Is having a good life now, not tomorrow or next day, but now. And that doesn't mean you have to be as wealthy as Donald Trump or Shaquille O'Neal or anybody else. You just have to have the things you want in your life, right, Marilyn?
For the day, even if it's just for the day. And you may go out that day and buy a new house, and you may have, and you'll have the money for it, or arrangements will be made for it. But the main thing is writing down. When you make a list, for example, and I wrote in the back of an envelope one time. I think I've told you this before, and I wrote like apples, oranges, whatever it is I wanted. In the middle of this envelope, I had written down one time, I am traveling the world, and it is paid for or easily paid for. On the bottom of the envelope, I kept writing different things what I wanted.
More like a grocery list. More like a grocery list, right?
Like a grocery list. And so the thing is that this was a large used envelope. So after a while, I threw out that envelope in the middle. I wrote that same thing down again. I'm traveling the world and is paid for or easily paid for. And I did that, and I'd have that list for a while, we'll have it. And then I just threw it out and I quit. Well, pretty soon my sister called and said, we're going to go to the Orient. We want you to go along. She happens to be a travel agency, so the next thing I know, I'm over there. And I went to communist China. I was in, in Hong Kong and everywhere, and it was all paid for.
It was all paid for.
Yeah, because I had been saving a few dollars for it. But the thing is, because she had a travel agency, I got it at a very good price, stayed in a room with someone else that didn't cost me that much. It can always come in different ways that you don't think it's going to come.
That's right. That's right. A lot of people think, this is the thoughts that I had when I first went to see you, Marilyn, was, well, I want a new house. As soon as I save the money for it, I'll get it. It doesn't work that way, does it?
Well, what I probably told you was, well, you can have anything you want, probably is what I said. And you're right. I said, right, what kind of house you want? Well, do you want, well, I don't know. Well, then you won't have it. And then I probably said, well, I said, you want one floor? You want two floors? You want what do you want? And so we started writing things down. Remember that?
Oh,
and,
absolutely.
I said, how many bedrooms would you like to have? And so on and so forth. And you wrote down you wanted a swimming pool.
Right.
Then you wrote down pretty soon you were living in the exact house.
Absolutely. 5 weeks later. Well, let's do that. Let's walk everybody through writing down. Why don't you tell them how? Yeah, you know how to do that.
Okay. What you do is write a list of what you want. Like, you can write down new car, and maybe you want to write down new clothes.
I want lots of money.
Pardon?
I want lots of money. Should I write that down?
No, because see, creation doesn't know what that is. If you write down in a car, somehow or other it knows that. But if you ask for the money to buy the car, it doesn't know that. Why it doesn't, I have no idea. But the thing is, if you write down, I have a new car, a car or a new car, and it is new or like new. It is red. It has 4 doors, or it is a station wagon, or what is all that you want. You detail it out of what you want. After you do all that, it is all. We are always safe in this vehicle. Then you take another page and you write down. Let's say that you're single, and you said, "Me." You write down "me" on the top. Number 1, I am happily married. I am living in the area that I am real happy with. You write down what you want in the marriage, if you want children. If you do not want children, don't write that down. Doesn't mean you don't show up. But the thing is, the thing is, you write down more or less what you do want, and what you should do is write down, I have my new car.
Why do you write I have? I don't have one.
Because creation acts on what you write down. Why this works, I have no idea. But all this information came to me one time when I'm laying on a couch, and all this information came to me. And if you write down new car, then creation doesn't know if you want one or if you don't want one. And then it doesn't know if you want, then maybe all of a sudden there's a car down the street and it's 100 years old and it has 4 flat tires, and somebody decides to give it to you. Because, creation says, well, there's one down there. You didn't say you wanted one that worked and that was in good repair. What you write down as what you want, as though you already have it. I have my new car. It is new or like new. It is in good repair. And it shows up in my life at the right time. And I remember one person one time that wrote down they wanted to have a convertible. And they wanted it to be red. Mm-hmm. And they, that it was affordable. And so on and so forth. I said, well, write it down. Otherwise, creation doesn't know what you want. Because when you think it, a couple of seconds later, you're thinking about something else, and that's gone. Writing down is kind of like permanent.
So writing down takes these thoughts and makes them more substantial.
Makes them, yes. The thing is, right, it makes
I
it
mean,
concrete.
why don't I just think what I want and it comes to me?
And what if it does come to you?
I said, why can't we just do that? Think whatever.
Well, try it. Okay, Tom, if you think about something, and then all of a sudden, a few minutes later, you're thinking about something like dinner, so that other is gone. And it doesn't mean you won't get it, because you might think of it a lot. But next thing you're thinking about dinner, and then you decide to go swimming, and then you decide, well, let's go to the movies, and that what you thought about before is kind of like off in the distance. And it acts on what you put your energy and thought process to. And it starts to go and provide it.
Does that mean you have to write down the same things every single day?
No. You write it down once. You don't have, and you don't have to go on. And if you throw out that envelope that we were talking about, and you got a new one, well, you can write that down on there again. I have my new car or whatever it is. Sure, but don't go and write things every day, and also kind of let it go and go about your life, because when you have written it down, why, now it's empowered by the written word, and go about your business. Doesn't mean you can't look at cards or you can't think about it, but don't be obsessed with it.
Is that kind of like detachment?
Detachment. Detachment is how we get everything. Sometimes somebody wants to be married real bad. And all they think about is being married. Well, if this person would write down what they want in a spouse, they are honest, they are this, maybe you're a particular, let's go and say my background is German. They German descent. Maybe I'd want that. It doesn't matter to me, but some people it's important to. So you write all these things down, what you want. Does not mean you're going to get every single thing on that list, but you'll be surprised how close.
Yes,
it's amazing.
It is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. We've been doing it our whole lives. I have a notebook, and I don't use an envelope. I use one of those. You started us on those 79-cent notebooks, and I still buy them by the ream. And I keep them right by my phone.
That's another thing. The reason I said the envelope, that's how I started. And then later on, I went to a notebook, because I did this back, you started this back in Illinois, and where I had a little macrame shop, and I'd write some things down, and I had read something about this, and the next thing I know, whatever I'd written down, I more or less had. And so that's what kind of started this whole thing. And then I started reading and understanding things a little bit more. Okay, what other questions do you have, Tom?
So how do you make, you said detachment is everything. How do you make detachment easier? Like how do you...
What is detachment?
What if you have a hard time letting go or you don't understand it, how do you do that?
Right. Well, okay. The thing is, you've written down what you want on your list. And detachment is, you don't care if you get any of it. And you have to really work at that. You don't care. Everything comes to you under a don't care attitude.
Wait a minute. I mean, I wouldn't have written it down if I didn't want it. Of course I care about it.
Right, but you can't do that. You have to let it go. And if you have to write down what you do want, not what you don't want. Because let's go and say you're moving, and you write down, I don't want to have, noisy neighbors. Well, unfortunately, it doesn't pick up the I don't want to. And you are in danger of having exactly what you don't want.
So you're saying anytime we write down something negative, that's what we get?
Right. Or the big possibility is there.
Huh.
And the thing is to write down what you do want.
Well, I want lots of money. How do I write that down?
You don't write it down because God hasn't got a clue what money is, and he'll shake his head. And what you do write down is what you're going to do with the money.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, this is what a lot of people don't realize, that they write down, I have, $1 million. Well, now, God scratches his head, and he doesn't know what that is.
Or give it a shoot. Much care. Well, you know, we had a lady one time that we told her not to write, and she was our quantum marketing students, and I told her not to write down money. I tell them all not to write down for money. And she said, well, I did it anyway. I asked for a $50,000 check to be sent to me. And I came, so 2 weeks later, she got a check in the mail for $54,000 and change. She was just beside herself. It was a legitimate check. It was made out to her. She got this check in the mail, and she said she was about to send me a letter at how great it worked, and then she looked a little closer, and it was her, what do you call those?
401k.
401k had paid, instead of rolling over into another asset management fund, they'd sent her the money. So she spent the next month and a half trying to get that deal straightened out so she didn't have to pay taxes on it.
Oh, yeah.
So
it was a whole lot more headache than it was worth.
Right.
Let me ask you this. People say, they ask us questions about writing down. And I want to ask you this. One person said that they have, what do you do? They want to know how to write down so that they're free and clear of all debt.
You write down, all my obligations have been paid for on time and in full. They will not necessarily be paid for overnight, but they can.
So that means it's possible to be free of all debt, never have any debt whatsoever?
My personal opinion, very few, unless you're unusually...
Oh, come on, Marilyn. You used to tell me that was all the people in the graveyard were the only ones without debt.
But you know what? We can. But the thing is to ask for what you do want. You ask for what you would do with the money, what you would purchase, what you would buy. That's what you write down.
It doesn't matter so much that you're debt free if you have a nice cash flow. I mean,
That's right.
I mean, what difference does it make?
If it's debt free, all of a sudden you might not all of a sudden you try to get credit and they say, no, you can't have any.
Right.
Right. If you don't have debt, you don't have credit.
You have, it's a little dangerous to do that, but if it works for you, that's be my guest.
Yeah, I know people that get really involved in getting debt free, and I don't know. I mean, we had to scrimp it. We had to really claw the woodwork when we bought our home, our newest home, because we didn't have enough credit open. We kept paying off all our credit cards,
right,
thinking that was the best thing to do. And then we got down and they said, well, but you've only got like 3 credit cards. I mean, you should have more than that. Well, but we pay everything cash. Well, that's not going to help. So.
Well, first of all, I don't know the answer to everything or how. Now, Tom, the thing is, for one person that may work, and the next one it may not. This is what is so individual. That's why even when I'm talking to you, the next person that's listening, this may not pertain to them. It is so individual, and what you want and the next person wants may be 2 different things in exactly the same area. Be careful what you ask for always, because somebody may, let's say, my wife is always yelling at me and so forth and so on, and this is happening, and I want to be happy. And next thing you know, she tells you she's getting a divorce and marrying the other neighbor. You got to be careful. It is each individual thing is different. There's no 2 things alike, and that's why when I work with people, we're talking on a grand scale now with you, okay?
Right, this is kind of everybody can deal with this. It's not as personal.
Right. And it is, when I tell you something, then if I talk to your dad, he might want a different type of answer, and your mother might want another one. It is so individualized. What we are talking is kind of like on a grand scale, and it's not that simple always.
So here, of course, absolutely, and we totally agree. That's what we talk about, balance. That's why balance is so important, right? It's about what you're comfortable with and what works for you, and the system is very personal. I mean, I don't want the same car as my dad. Granted, we have exactly the same cars, the same year, the same make, same model, same color. But I did initially want that.
Right.
I gave it to your mother. That doesn't count.
Right, sorry, my mother and I have
It's
the
your
same
husband
car.
that's got one that looks like mine.
So be careful what you ask for, people. So what do you say about visualizing? Is that necessary at all?
Visualizing?
Yes.
Yes. Let's go and say that you want to visualize a vacation.
Hey, that sounds great.
And you visualize it, but you also suddenly see a picture in a magazine or something. Pull
Brochure
some
or
of
something?
those out. My one friend was doing this, and she all of a sudden saw a tablecloth, and she saw certain dishes, and they wanted to go on vacation. And she says, "Why am I doing that?" I said, "Well, maybe you've gone ahead in time while you're in dream state or something, and you checked it out." And I said, "Don't be surprised if you end up at a place that has that." And we dropped it. But they went on vacation. They ended up someplace in the middle of nowhere of the country, and they went in this little restaurant, and there was a tablecloth, and there were the dishes, and everything she saw.
Wow.
Have fun.
Wow. So so people that don't understand what visualizing is, can you walk them through that a little bit?
Yes, visualization is. Let's go on and say that you wanted to have, some particular furniture, or maybe a new kitchen set, we'll say. And so you kind of in your mind visualize, a round one. Visualizing means picturing in your mind. Picturing in your mind you're going to have a round one. Oh, and the chairs are going to have nice soft seats, and it's going to be flat wrought iron legs and back or whatever. And the next thing you know, there's a tablecloth on it. Well, pretty soon you forgot about it because it wasn't maybe that important. And all of a sudden you're in a store one day, and the furthest thing from your mind is this kitchen set. What do you run across?
The kitchen set.
What happens next? It's sitting in your kitchen.
So it's
or
just
you have the opportunity to, buy it.
right.
Right.
So it's about making pictures and feeling those and like experiencing them, right? Not just seeing a picture, but more experiencing the picture.
Okay.
Yes, that's a real good way of putting it. Is feeling it almost. Feeling it in your mind, the chairs, and it's almost like, I can just about feel it right here in our kitchen, and then you let it go, and then you totally forget about it.
Okay, I've got a story I've got to tell you.
Yes.
Diane and I just went to San Diego for a long weekend. We went down to the zoo and to Wild Animal Park and Old Italy and stuff, Little Italy, and just had a lot of fun. Really, it was a wonderful trip. Well, I have, I do this our system with everything, and I've wanted some items from the drugstore. I wanted a new pair of reading glasses that were half glasses. I wanted some special kinds of vitamin E oil. I wanted a vitamin E oil for my skin and some other things that I wanted. But I never got over to the drugstore to get them. Or if I would go in the drugstore, I wouldn't be thinking about them.
Right.
Or I went to the drugstore and thought about them, and they didn't have the items I wanted. Okay?
Right. Okay.
I tried.
All right.
I tried for a long time to purposely get these two items, and I was just kind of, wasn't successful with it. Well, I hadn't written them down. So I came back and I wrote them down before our trip, and I thought, well, when I get back, I'll go over to the drugstore and get them.
Right.
Well, we're down in San Diego, and all of a sudden, one morning, I had to go to the drugstore and get some stuff while we were there, which is right across from our hotel. So I went over there, and I walked in, and the first place, and it's really early in the morning before I've eaten, and so I'm not too awake, and I walked in.
And if anyone's met my dad before he's eaten, that's really not pretty. He's not awake.
And I'm like, I'm in a kind of a half dream state walking into this drugstore. It's a very large drugstore. And this woman stepped in front of me, and I turned around to go the other way and actually bumped into this big display of glasses. And literally, the glasses I wanted fell off into my hands.
Oh, my goodness.
I looked at them. They're right over there on top of my desk, those little teeny ones on the right. They're made out of, they're just exactly what I wanted. They got like the
that. They want you, Tom, more than you want them.
And so then I walk down the aisles, and I'm looking for this item that I want, and I walk in. It's for my contact lenses, and but I can't find it. But I'm not looking up to where the signs are. I'm just kind of looking down the aisles, and I stop, and I'm scratching my head, and I say, well, what am I doing here in front of the vitamin E oil? Oh, vitamin E oil. I wanted it. So I got it. Then I could find everything else, and it was all fine. It's like, it's funny how the system works, isn't it, Marilyn?
Yes, it's easy. Once you kind of think of it, you almost wonder whether the vitamin E wanted you more than you wanted it.
Right.
And it literally calls you to the right store, to the right place, and it's looking at you. Well, there he comes down the aisle. I hope he remembers me. And you know, and the next thing you know, you're looking at it and taking it. And now the vitamin E is real happy.
Right, right. People ask us, when do I get these things I've written down? I mean, what do I do? When do I decide it's time to go spend that money on a new car and all of that? And I don't have an answer. What do you say to that?
You write it down when you want it. Then the money comes. Then the money will be available for the new car.
So it's all about asking first and the money second.
You don't ask for the money. You just ask for the item.
So what if it feels like it's been forever since you wrote your list and it's never going to come to me? Do you have anything to tell people to do that?
Yeah, first of all, a lot of people don't believe it, Penelope. They really, well, this is what this lady says. I don't believe this. I'm going to write it down. I'm going to see if I get it. Well, what's happened is they're waiting for it to happen so they can, for not to happen so they can say, see, Marilyn, it doesn't work.
They're trying to prove it wrong.
Right, exactly. And the thing is, you write down what you do want from the heart, or you really do want to have, and then you write it down and forget it. The forgetting about it and not trying to find it always, it works. It's the funniest darn thing. It just like shows up in front of you.
And sometimes I find that it's almost like when you ask for the little things like a pair of reading glasses and vitamin E oil.
Right.
It's like almost like those little things almost activate the bigger things.
Yes, exactly. The bigger things, we sometimes don't. Well, I'll get that when I get the money. I just don't. And so you put the little things down. Well, of course, all of a sudden you have them. And if you ask for a kitchen table set or something like that, you will always, if it's yours, it's at a price that you can't believe that it's so good.
That's right.
And if it's not the right price, then go to another store and it might be there, and you're supposed to buy it at a different store.
That's right. Absolutely. And you just sort of know when it's the right situation for you. I mean, like
you feel it.
Those cars, that's right.
It isn't that you know it and feel it.
Like those cars Penelope referred to, we bought these 2 cars this year. They're brand new Chrysler Pacificas. And matching, same car. The license plate's 2 digits different. They're exactly alike, And we got 2.
Really embarrassing.
We got 2 of them, brand new, for the price of 1.
Sure.
I mean, it was nuts, but I couldn't turn that down.
That's exactly right.
So I called up Penn. I said, "You want one?"
So what do you do about people that have doubt, that have a little bit of doubt that creeps in their mind? How do they get rid of that doubt? Because if that doubt is going to stop what's coming in, how do you get rid of it?
When they really want it bad enough, then they will start to go and work on getting it. Well, they will doubt is really, I'm not sure if I want it. It's not, they may think they do, but they're not willing to really, really open up to having it. And they sometimes think that too much money is not a good thing. Too nice a car is not a good thing.
Right, like they're going to lose.
Because the neighbors are going to look at us, well, where did we get the money? Well, it's nobody else's business. And the thing is that, they don't want to have to answer questions when a neighbor comes over. Well, how the heck did you get that? Just say, oh, the guy gave it to me for free. You lie like heck and tell him the story.
So that
I just wanted to get rid of it, so he gave it to me. And then the guy says, oh, you're not telling the truth. Oh, really? You just have a good time with it.
Right.
See, life is about having a good time. Having fun and doing things joyous has more of an effect on your economic well-being than any other single factor.
Yeah, we haven't been to Disneyland in a while. Where are you?
Well, I'll have to go and meet you at Disneyland.
There you go.
So a lot of people also ask us about how to deal with a negative person.
A negative person?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's in your life that
Like a spouse
you
or
can't get away from, or is
older relative.
that's a part of your life.
Care. You just have to get to the point you don't care, and that they're talking about themselves, and then there's nothing that they say that can hurt you. They're
So-
always talking about themselves.
What do you mean by talking about themselves?
Well, if they talk, you'll just never have any money to go out to eat. They're talking about themselves. They're going to get rid of all their money.
Why is that?
Because you really can't. Usually that's what we talk about all the time is ourselves. When I say, oh, Penelope, don't do that. Don't buy a new car. Or I was ready to buy one. I won't be able to get one because I was talking about myself. Or I might have to fight to get and fight to keep.
So if you've got a, let's say you're, this one student of ours has a situation where she bought a house with her father-in-law. She and her husband bought a house together with the father-in-law. They each had smaller houses, sold them, got a bigger house.
Right.
Well, she liked having the bigger house.
Right.
She just doesn't like living with her father-in-law, who's...
So she has to write down my father-in-law. And she writes down number 1. We're best of friends. He treats us absolutely wonderful. What she's doing is focusing on what she doesn't want, so she creates it. You focus on what you do want, and especially writing it down.
So
we all get along great.
Yeah, write down about unity. That's a good thing.
Writing down is the power that creates almost everything. You've got let's say you've got a supermarket. If you don't write down what you want to be brought into the store, you don't get. Pretty soon your supermarket's out of business. You don't write down we need a barrel of pears or a couple bushels of apples. You don't write anything down means you don't give the produce people what you want. The power of the written word is when you write down on a list of what you want. Pretend God, Christ, Buddha, whatever you want to call it, comes in at night and looks for your list. Pretend that. And if you don't have a list, he's looking under the mattress and in all the drawers trying to find it while you're sleeping. I know this is just pretend, but life is about that. Does any of this make sense to you?
Oh, I love it.
Absolutely.
I love it, man. It's
I
good
have
to
a
hear
great
you say it
question
again.
that we got from someone. And
Okay.
I think you'll like it because it has to do with Las Vegas.
Okay.
And this person said that when they go to casinos, that people on either side of them will win. And
Yeah.
no matter who they sit next to, they'll win.
Right.
They're like a lucky charm for other people. And they just don't understand why they're not a lucky charm for themselves in casinos.
They don't believe they deserve it. They don't believe that they're going to win on a subconscious level, more or less, and they believe the people next door will. Everything they believe, they got. It's just, I have to tell you, I used to be in Vegas all the time. I'd have busloads of people up there all the time, and I was like the mother on the bus and so forth, and I'd go back and forth, to Huntington Beach area. And this one day I'm walking in this, now, I don't know if you believe this or not, you don't have to. I'm walking by this one machine. It goes, play me. I said, you're a dollar machine, I'm not going to play you. So later on I walked by it again and said, play me. I said, no, I'm not going to play you. And so later on I walked by, I don't know when it was, a couple of days later, play me. Finally I said, okay. I put some money in and won all kinds of money. I think I put $1 in and won, like $500, something or other. And it was this machine taught me, don't doubt when you feel things, when you hear things, do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why I didn't put anything in before, I don't know. Maybe it wasn't ready, I don't know. But you get these strange things that happen once in a while. These you know, you ever get an urge, the two of you, let's go to this restaurant. And then, yeah, let's go to this restaurant. And you just don't go. And, well, finally, you know, I don't know why, but we got to go over there. You don't maybe particularly care for it. Maybe you care for others better. And what do you run into? Some new client. Somebody sitting next to you, and they start talking. I was in John's coffee shop in Huntington Beach.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to somebody, and the next table was real close. And you know how I talk about what we're talking about.
Constantly.
You know, if you don't write down, you don't get it. If you don't tell the waiter what you want to eat, you don't get it. It's the same thing with our creation. If you don't tell creation what you want, you don't get it. And I was kind of talking to these people, and I said, wow, and they were writing things down, and all of a sudden, me and my blabbermouth, there was a table right next to kind of kitty corner, and pretty soon a lady comes over to me, and she says, you know, I overheard what you said. I said, what did I say? Well, the next thing I know, she said, I have to talk to you. So I gave her my phone number, and I said, you can talk to me on the phone. You don't have to come see me, because they didn't live there. And the next thing you know, they're calling me. People call, as you know, they call from all over. They don't have to see you personally. But who's supposed to know you? You know, it's the darndest thing once in a while. They find you.
Right.
When you're open to allow the universe to deliver your good to you, amazing things happen, Marilyn. Don't they? Just amazing.
Well, I have to tell you, if people are listening, I have to say how I met you.
Uh-oh.
Can I do that?
Keep it clean, Marilyn.
Oh, all right. I lived across the street from Lisa and Bob in Huntington Beach, and you guys were there visiting there. And I had called over there for something or other, and they said, well, why don't you come over to meet Tom and Diane? And, oh, now you've got company. Well, and then pretty soon I said, nah, that's all right, I'll come some other time. And then pretty soon something just kept telling me, you got to go over there, you got to go get over there. And there I go over to you, stand behind you, put my hand on your shoulders, and you couldn't stand it. This lady that comes in there and says what she says. Well,
it wasn't I couldn't
stand it.
You were
so glad when I left.
Wasn't I couldn't stand it, Marilyn. I thought you were sticking an electrode on my neck. Hair was standing on the back of my neck. That's what the problem was.
But anyhow, I said, well, come on over sometime if you want to. And how long did it take you? 6 months or a year?
About 6 months. 5.
What?
5 months.
5 months was it? Oh, okay. It's interesting because when somebody's supposed to come over, it's like there's creation makes all kinds of ways to get you over there. And so there was a shower, or was it Lisa at my place, and of course your wife and your daughter was there, and the next thing you know, you're coming over to see me.
Yeah, well, you remember what you told Diane?
No.
You told her that you could triple my income.
That's right. Wonder where that came from.
I don't know, because you said you never told anybody else that.
No,
but
I've never told anybody else.
It was the only thing that had any interest for me.
And then when you came there, you said, I said, what is it you want? Well, I want money. And wherever a nickel came from on the corner of my table, I said, there, now you're richer than you came in. Are you happy?
Nope.
That's how it started.
That was great. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had some wonderful times. It's an amazing experience. And obviously, we were meant to meet each other.
Yes, absolutely.
So Marilyn, I do have to say that I think that there's one subject that you haven't broached yet.
Oh.
What is that?
It's something that has to do with 10%.
Okay. All right.
Is it important? I don't know. Is it important to bring
It
up?
is the most important thing, and we'll cross that right now. 10% of our money never belongs to us. It belongs to our Creator. When you make $100, $10 must be given to a church, synagogue, temple, where you feel someone's doing a good job of doing God's work, somebody on TV, so, whatever. But we have to do this. When I tell people this, I say, if you don't want to, you don't have to. But whatever you've written down, you're going to fight to get and fight to keep.
Oh, that's the truth.
And so basically, what this is telling God what you want and paying him to do it. It's my motto. Tell God what you want and pay him to do it. People tell me God doesn't need the money. I said, fine, go ahead and do it anyhow. No, fine, go ahead and do what you want to do.
How's that working for you?
Yeah, And you have, and you don't go and start telling people that you have to give it to this or that, because what works for me may not work for you.
Right.
You have to figure out where that place is. And it's really interesting. Each one of us have our own place to give. And I'm not going to say where I give, but I give to one place all the time. And anyhow, then somebody else was going to give to some place. I think they're their church, and I gave money to them and to take and give, and my money all stopped, just like a truck stopped and wouldn't move.
Really?
And I suddenly realized after a couple of days that was not the thing to do. So I had to dig up the same amount of money I gave, which I think was $400, and I sent that to where I do it, and it all started up again. And the thing is not to tell people where to give it, because what works for you may not have worked for the person you're talking to, but you give them ideas. You know what I'm talking about.
When you told me that I had to tithe 10% of my income, I thought you were crazy.
Oh, I know that.
Then you kind of convinced me about it, and I went back and told Diane. She confirmed that I was crazy.
Well, certainly.
And she wouldn't let me do it at first. Did you know that?
Whatever.
She wouldn't let me do it. So we tried it a little bit less than 10%.
Right.
And well, things got better.
Yeah. See, when people come to me sometimes and they say, "Well, I can't afford 10%," I said, "You send something, even if it's 1%." But then don't go out and go to the movies and out to eat 3 times that week and buy a whole bunch of new clothes that you don't need, because creation knows what you're doing. But if you give a little bit, it doesn't mean you can't go out to eat. I don't mean it. But the thing is, you give, and you in your heart and your mind, you start to work this, and then you maybe go to 2%, and then you go on up. It's amazing, because I've had people that have gone to 10%, and they had made so doggone much money, and then they decided not to give for a while. Well, everything stopped. And the thing is that it took them a while to get started to convince, creation that they're going to do that again. I've had a lot of different stories with this.
Yeah.
So is there a difference between tithing and donating to a good cause?
Yes. Tithing is giving to where you feel you're getting spiritual help and inspiration. What you're talking to a good cause can be giving to charity. That is fine to give, but you still have to go on tithe 10% off your total income to a church, a synagogue, a temple where you feel God is doing God's work, and so on and so forth, or a person, maybe somebody on TV or a author of a book or something like that. But the thing is that you have to kind of work out what works for you, and you will know. And I have people call once in a while, well, what should I do, and what should I try, and so forth.
So you tell people to try things, different things. It's okay to try different things and see what works and see what feels right. What I see is that it's about where you feel you're getting your spiritual inspiration and help.
Yes.
You have to do it based on your feelings. And I think many people are hesitant to do something wrong. They're hesitant to tithe.
You have to try. Yeah, you're right, but you have to try it.
Just try anything, because if your intent is to tithe,
right,
you'll be directed. Would you say that's correct?
Yes. And if it doesn't work at a particular place, then you try something else, or you go back to where it was working.
Let me ask you this question, Marilyn. What if somebody has a spouse? Maybe the wife wants to tithe and the husband is against it. How should she?
What you do there is that the spouse usually gets some spending money of her own. And so what she does is, this has happened with a lot of people, and as she starts to tithe of her maybe $50 or $20 that she gets, see, God knows her intention, and it makes the biggest difference to her. Maybe she had been sick all the time, and all of a sudden her health is back 100%. Maybe the kids were not getting along, and all of a sudden the kids are all getting along great. And then all of a sudden, there's some stories. All of a sudden, the husband starts to question that there's something different. And somehow or other, he finds out what's happening, and pretty soon, they're jumping right in with it. And the stories are phenomenal with this.
Yeah, this has happened many times before. So it's okay to tithe on $20 that you get. Tithing $2 is not shameful.
Oh, no! No, if I made $10, I would tithe $1.
So you don't have to wait and save it all up so you send a whole bunch?
No. What I suggest, if you know that money's coming in regularly or whatever, wait until you got a couple dollars, or send it $50 or $100. But otherwise, start out with smaller amounts and see how this works. I call it magic.
Okay,
it's amazing.
One last question, and then we're going to open it up, I think, to questions see if we can take some questions. And that is, if you seem stuck, if you're stuck, some people write and say, I'm just stuck, this isn't working. What do I do? Do you have any advice?
What?
Do you have any advice for them? They're writing down, they're asking.
They're tithing.
So maybe they're not tithing, I don't know, but they're asking and they're
Right, you write down, Dear God, hi, this is Susie Q. I got to talk to you. I've been doing everything I can possibly think about, and and nothing still is working. And I'd like to have some advice. Ask God. Ask a pastor from the synagogue, temple, whatever. Get some advice here or there. And you can also say, Dear God, have someone say a sentence to me that makes a difference to you and make me prosperous.
So it's not so much that you go talk to a minister or a synagogue, but that you just ask God.
Anybody.
God, and He will help.
You can go direct to your Creator, to your God, like I said, whatever you call Him. And the thing is that talk to others, talk to people that do the kind of work we do. Read books or open books and ask the Creator to go on. Show you what you need to do, and you may be in a bookstore and you open up a book, and there it says one sentence, and it's your whole answer.
So you're saying ask God to lead you to the answer, and then just go out and go to all these places, and you'll get the answer, whatever you feel drawn to.
Basically, it is always your intent.
Well, that's wonderful.
Yeah, we're gonna do questions.
And Diane's gonna take us off lecture mode, so tell her what to do.
So this is what we're going to do. If you do... Go off lecture mode. If you do have a question...
Okay, I have a question.
Okay, your name?
Irma.
Hi, Irma.
Hi, how you guys doing?
Good.
I just had a quick question about tithing, what people's opinions of this are. Now, I've been running a home-based business, and a lot of my money right now is going back into the business. Do I tithe on the money that's going back into the business, or just the money I'm using, like, to take out for myself, or what do I do?
What you do is the best that you can do. Just know you know, what did you say? You're putting money back into the business, right?
Right, yeah. Right now, the business is, well, I don't want to quiz, but, you know, basically most of the money's going back into the business, and I really don't have a lot to live off of right now, so I haven't been tithing off the money that's going back into the business, just the money I use to, like, you know, I take for myself. So
what you take for yourself, you must give some of it back to, like we were talking about. It is always your intent. And the thing is, how long are you going to work at, let's say, at a department store if they only pay you once in a while and a little bit and they cut back next week? You're not going to work for them real long. It's the same thing with our Creator. And we say, well, he doesn't care. Oh, yes, he does. He said, 10% of whatever you have is mine. So that it's like, for example, if you want to have corn, a crop of corn, well, if you sell every stick of corn and don't have any to put back in the ground, you're not going to have another crop.
right.
We have to take some of that, and it's with every single thing. We have to go and put some back in the ground. We have to put some back into the world to make it work.
So the stuff I'm putting back into the business, I don't have to tithe on then, you're saying?
Whatever is profit, even if you put it back into the business, put something, tithe something to keep it going. But if you put into the business, let's say $10,000 of your money, and then you get some money and then you want to build the business, whatever profit comes at first, you must go and tithe on. We're supposed to tithe 10%. If we can't tithe 10%, do something to keep it going.
I see. So whatever extra we're making besides whatever we put in the business, you're saying we should tithe on.
Yes. So it's 10% of whatever ever is profit.
Putting part of our profits back into the business.
You have to tithe on the profit in the first place, and then you put some of that back into the business.
Oh, okay. I see. Yeah. Okay. Now I get it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean,
yeah,
you don't have a whole lot if it starts lower, but the more, when you get to 10%, you're going to see such a tremendous business, you won't know what to do with it all.
Great. Thank you, Irma.
Thanks, Marilyn.
Does anybody else have a question?
I have a question. Okay, it's actually about the visualizing before detachment. I guess I'm just a little unclear.
You can't ask your question yet.
I'm sorry?
You haven't said the magic words.
Your name.
Your name.
Oh, Jennifer.
Hi, Jennifer.
Where are you from? Where are you from, Jennifer?
Oh, sorry. I'm from Los Angeles.
Okay.
Ah, okay.
And I had read the book, and I am just a little confused because, you know, you say visualize and go and you know, test drive the cars you want, and so you do that and then you detach? Like you visualize for a while and then you detach?
Well, for example, let's say you're going to go buy some clothes. You have some idea what you want.
Right.
Right. And even if you go and maybe it's a little bit different, but that's the visualization, because you kind of visualize. And then pretty soon you visualize maybe looking at new furniture and all these type things. And you talk with your spouse or your friend who you're living with, whatever it is. You say, gee, that would look good in the living room, wouldn't it? And then you go home and you don't buy it. Well, the next thing you know, if you tithe, all of a sudden you're confronted with that same thing in another store, maybe half the price.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It kind of goes together. It's not that linear.
I see. Okay.
Detachment is something you do all the time, right, Marilyn? It's not, you don't have to do it in order. I mean, you can write something down and detach from it immediately.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the story. It's in the book, too, the story about the 2-year-old.
About the what?
2-year-old running around in a department store. Don't you remember that story? Grocery store. If you're with a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old, I think a 3-year-old would work better because 2-year-olds are. But if you have a young child in the grocery store, it's going to constantly want you to chase them.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And so if you've got your desire out there, if you've written your parameters and you want something, this new car, you're constantly chasing it. It's going to keep going away from you. But the minute you stop and go the other way, it comes running
Exactly.
to you.
Sure, you keep chasing a kid around the grocery store. The best thing is go the opposite direction. What happens? Who's behind you real quickly?
And the
This
things that
child.
we want are like that. I mean,
And the other thing is, if your dog, you got a small dog and it's new, and you're going outside and you're chasing it all over the yard, and you can't catch him, and then you decide, I give up, and you go in the house. Who's behind you? The dog.
somebody just has static on the line. Please *6 again. Someone just *6 and got static there.
Oh, great.
I don't know who that was.
Okay,
but
so
we've got
we
a
could
problem
take
with your
one more
line.
question.
Yeah,
I
my
think.
name's Tony.
Go ahead, Tommy.
Tony.
Hi, Tommy.
Tony, how are you?
Tony
Tommy.
from Louisville.
Hi, Tony
And I
from
heard
Louisville.
Marilyn talking about, when you pay your tithes and you give it to somebody else to take it for you. But sometimes, like, I goes to work and I can't make it to church or whatever, so I goes to the church and I hands it to the ushers.
You what?
I hand it like I can't go to the service.
You don't have to.
I'm on my way to work, but I hands it
Right.
I hands it to the ushers at the door.
Exactly.
So
That's
is that okay?
Fine. That is absolutely wonderful because God understands that.
Okay.
Oh, yes, absolutely. That's perfect, sweetheart.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Tony.
Tony.
Anybody else? I guess we have more time than I
Can
thought.
I just ask, it's Louise here from Ireland. Can I just
Hi.
ask Marilyn, do you put a date on what you write down that you want? Or do you leave it open to the universe to give it to you?
Do you put a date, Marilyn?
The date?
Yes.
You want it? You want it, you mean?
Yeah,
Yes.
do you decide what time you're going to get it?
Oh, no. You just write down what you want. And if you don't put a time on it, because see, creation doesn't know what time is. But if you ask for, like, a new shovel, somehow or other it knows about that. But if you say, I want it at Christmas, it doesn't understand that. I'm trying to give you an idea, kind of, what it all works like.
Louise, I think it's Louise, is it not?
That's right, yes.
Yes. I believe that all started with Napoleon Hill.
That's right,
Who
yes.
t- who
Think
told
and grow
it?
rich.
Yes. There's a lot of that in there. Keep
Yes.
in mind that as wonderful as that book is, it was written in the early 1920s,
Yes.
and it's a bit dated from
Right.
what we realize to be works and doesn't work.
Okay.
And that's
But see,
a
they
primary
did,
one.
at least there was something written. At least something got started.
Yeah.
And that's the background of all of what we and we're going to change all the time. And times change, things change, and what may work for you may not work for your neighbor. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And see, one of the things about Napoleon Hill was he got confused between asking and receiving and asking and achieving.
Oh, I see.
He would say, put that down and that becomes a goal and you'll go work hard and get it. And we're
Yeah.
saying that that's not necessary, that you write down what you want and it'll come to you when you're ready for
Well,
it.
it can come through work, but
Of
when
course.
you ask for it now, it comes through work much easier than what it would have.
Right.
We also sometimes see, Louise, that using the system uses the universe, and the universe doesn't actually recognize time and space,
Right.
right? Everything's always
Yes.
happening all the time. So then time is almost inconsequential. And if you write down a time, maybe it's supposed to happen for you before that.
Okay.
Does that
yes.
mean, you don't want to limit yourself in any way? That's
Yes.
how we see it.
Yes, great.
Did we help?
Lovely, yeah, that's great.
Oh, and it's so wonderful to hear you. You have
Thank
a
you.
wonderful, wonderful accent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Louise. Anyone
you.
else?
One more, perhaps. Another-
Dolores in California.
Hi, Dolores.
Yes.
Hi, Dolores.
I wanted to ask about the tithing again. What if you don't have a particular place that offers you spiritual encouragement? That's where I found myself right now. I was part of a religious organization for like 25 years, and I no longer belong to that. And my feelings right now about that are somewhat, I don't want to say
Okay.
negative. So what do you do?
What you do is you just give. It does not have to have religion behind it. You can give to somebody on the radio, somebody on TV, somebody a neighbor. You can send it to a neighbor without them maybe knowing it, but you know they're doing a good job of doing God's work. You know, maybe they've been helping the homeless, and you just found that out. Send them a couple of bucks, but don't say who it's from. Or you can give it to them and say this is towards the homeless, and that can be your tithing.
Okay.
Also, Dolores, you know, you can also, I mean, obviously you are still pursuing a spiritual path, or you probably wouldn't have found our website at all. So look at what you're doing now. If you're doing things that are reflective of inspiring yourself spiritually, then that can be part of your tithing.
Maybe you buy a book, something that helps you. I mean, what difference is there between? And I got this from a question that somebody wrote in a comment, and they said, you know, I don't see a difference between buying books and reading information that helped me and going to church and listening to a sermon. They're still getting the spiritual information. There's a lot of sources out there.
And there's so many wonderful avenues and wonderful books and people that work with people similar to Marilyn. So, you know, does that help, Dolores?
Oh, yes. I had never thought about it that way. Yes, thank you very much.
I think we all
just know that what you give to is just fine.
Okay.
And I think we all get into that belief pattern about religion, that you're supposed to give to a religious organization. Well, religion is here to provide spiritual assistance and help. And there's other people in the world that do that. I had a friend one time that had just said something to me that just opened my eyes about something. And I realized I hadn't given my tithing that month, and my car had just actually broken down that minute. The wheel had broken, and we had to get off the freeway, and we're sitting there, and she said something to me, and I thought in my mind, this is it. I need to tithe. And I just gave her money. And she's like, what is this for? And I said, it's for nothing, just for whatever. She's like, no, what is this for? I said, really, what is this for? I needed to tithe. Obviously, you can look at my car. I hadn't tithed yet. And of course, the cost to fix my car was exactly the money that I'd given her. So God speaks to us in amazing ways. This about realizing what those are, acknowledging and purposefully giving back to that. Does that help?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Dolores. I heard
Dolores.
somebody else. I think we might have one more quick one.
This is Dorothy in Georgia. Was this recorded?
Yes, that will be recorded, and we will be packaging them up to sell them later.
Oh, okay. Because I was sitting in traffic and missed most of the hour.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I tell you what, we're planning a lot of planning this summer, so down the road, I think we might have it a little later in the day when we do these, if we do these again. And but what we're going to do is, with this, we're going to package these all together and make them available at a reasonable price so that people can have them and listen to them. We have been so amazed ourselves at the incredible information and inspiration that we've gotten. We have grown. Penelope and I and Diane and Chris, and our business has grown because of this. We have seen new ideas and reminded us of old ones, and so we'll make those available. And I don't know, yeah.
Someone else have a question for Marilyn?
Hi there. I'm Susan Blair.
Hi.
From Florida. From
Hi,
beautiful
Susan.
Hurricane
Oh,
Florida.
bless your heart.
We did well this time, but there's a lot of people on the other side that didn't. I have a question. I've read your book. I love it. But my question is, when we tithe, and I'm really perplexed over this. When we tithe, should we expect something good to come back to us?
No. Let me explain something to you, all right?
All right, because I don't understand this at all.
All right. Tithing is our obligation to give to our Creator.
Okay.
To a church, a synagogue, temple, wherever.
Okay.
Expect nothing. All right? It's your obligation.
All right. So
However,
yes.
Then God says, ask and you shall receive, which is separate from that.
Okay.
And so you write down on a piece of paper what you want. Okay. When you write down apples, oranges, and stuff like that, and you go to the store, what happens is pretty soon you have it, right?
Yeah.
So right.
You're right.
And the thing is, I don't know if you were heard before, but I used to go and write down on the back of an old long envelope, apples, oranges, and whatever. In the middle, I wrote down, that God provides me with everything that I need and want, something like that. Put down, or I give thanks in advance for all my good from my Creator. And underneath that, you start putting down, pick up the mail, and you know, buy pantyhose or whatever. And as you read your list until it's gone, you don't even read that all the time, but you pick it up with your eyes anyhow, and it goes right into your brain. And it's amazing what happens.
I will do that. You're wonderful. All of you are wonderful for sharing with us. I just want you to know that.
Thank you, Susan.
Oh, goodness. Thank you so very, very much.
I appreciate you, all of you, and I'm sure that everyone else on the call does, too. I really do. I had to rush home to be able to listen because we're a different time zone over here, but I truly, truly, truly appreciate everything that you're saying. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Susan. Stay dry.
Thank you so much. Thank you for everything.
You're welcome.
God bless you, darling.
Thank you. I need that.
We all do.
That's true. Thank you again.
Well, I think that's the end of our time, Marilyn.
Okay.
Gosh, it's been so fun. I have enjoyed this so much.
We'll do it again someday.
Can you give us any last thoughts about living rich now?
About living rich now?
Yes.
In other words, doing it.
Well, rich is having what you want when you want it. Whether it's a new pair of white socks or it's a new car. It is whatever you put your mind to, and you write down on a piece of paper what you want. And then you tithe to your church, synagogue, or temple, and pretty soon you have your white socks. Doesn't mean that you wouldn't have it otherwise. But after a while, you're going to start to understand what I'm talking about, because then the big things come quicker.
The magic happens. I mean,
Yes,
there's just no way to almost say it other than it's magic. I mean,
it is, yeah.
Because things will happen that are nice. You can write down that your shopping experience is enjoyable, and all the clerks treat you with respect. And
let me tell you one thing. One day, I was in Huntington Beach, and I went to, I think it was Kmart, and I got out of my car, and I went to the door, and I'm about to go in, and I thought, God, what the heck am I going in here for? Well, I went in, then I stood inside, and I says, okay, which way, right or left? Right. I go over a little ways, and all of a sudden he stops me, and there was a pair of pants I needed, and I forgot that I needed them real bad, and of course they were on sale. Then I get up to the register, and the girl says, oh, it's from 3 to 4 today, everything's another 15% off. I got them for next to nothing.
Well, thank you, Marilyn.
Thank you,
it's just been such a joy, such a pleasure. Appreciate you so very much.
We love you so much, Marilyn. We wish you all good luck and great adventures.